segue.
Unconscious.
Just nailed it there. Okay. Well, look, you've segued into it. So why don't you start? First of all, why did you want to talk about decision making today?
I feel like decision making is something that we have to do in our everyday lives, right? From whether, and we will, this is my mental note to you. If I say it to you, I'll remember to talk about it. We need to talk about decision fatigue as well.
Yes. Okay.
So yes, decisions is something that we will do on a daily basis, whether it's what we are eating, what we're wearing, to write it down to who do we want to marry.
I mean, that's quite a biggie.
100%. We've gone from one extreme to the other. What do I want to eat? Who do I want to marry?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, where do I want to live? And
Right.
and it's just something that we can feel very paralyzed in, and we can get into a situation where we're trying to logic our way through it, and we're trying to rationalize the pros and cons, and we can get into that space, especially if we've got big decisions to make, where we can start to feel like we're not good at making decisions. And then we know with our brains that if that's what we believe, then that naturally is the evidence that our brain flags to us. So I just wanted to talk about, because I know that there have been a few of my clients that have struggled with making decisions, and how to overcome that. And I thought it would be helpful if we just talked about it on a podcast, just to give people more of a sort of general guide as how we approach decision making, what we've seen work with our clients, and get into it from that point of view.
So what do you, when a client comes to you and they're struggling with making decisions, what do you talk to them about?
First of all, I will remind them, like we said, about providing real world evidence to our brain. I will remind them of the good decisions that they have made in the past, because especially if it's like a career decision or something they're moving forward with, like a promotion, they're in this position because of the great decisions that they've already made that have led them to this point.
Yeah.
So we will explore the good decisions that they've already made in their lives. And then what we will talk about in terms of, there is definitely value in terms of doing a pros and cons list. But as I say to them, it's like how you feel about the pros and the cons, because there's no good you making having 10 pros and they're all being great. Say you're going to date someone and it's like really great, like has a nice car. God, that I can't believe that was the first thing that came to me. Really kind, great with my parents.
Let's start with that. Really kind.
Nice cars are now third on the list.
Right.
Upstanding moral member of community, but the con is he's a serial killer.
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, it's quite a major con.
Exactly. But it's like you can't necessarily go, although you do a pros and cons list, you can't necessarily go, oh, I've got 10 pros and 1 con. It's about thinking about, so doing the pros and the cons, but also maybe rating like how important they are in the decision making. And also, once you've written down that pros list, and cons list, typically what I'll get clients to do is just leave it. Just go and do something else. Let your brain have space to sort of let all that knowledge that you've just put onto paper settle before you start making a decision. Also thinking about like a decision as well in terms of your future self versus your now self. And like imagining it on a scales, I find is quite helpful as well. Because if you're making a decision which is purely for your future self, but is bringing your current self no joy, it's going to be just like we spoke last week about the motivation. And if you keep making decisions and you keep challenging yourself, but there's no reward at the end, if you're just doing a decision, making a decision about your life, which is purely to do with future you and nothing to do with you now, it's sometimes harder, especially when you move forward with that, to feel connected to that decision.
Wait, so what's an example where something might seem like a good decision for your future but isn't right for you now?
So it might be that I think you referred to it beautifully when you talked about your client that has been offered a new opportunity to go for that. She's smashed out this level, A-class, chef's kiss, and now she can go again to the next level, but actually she's got very small young kids. That I think is a really lovely example of, perhaps not that it doesn't serve her, but it might not be in the best interest of you now.
Yes.
thinking about how likely this opportunity might come up again, in terms, because sometimes with some companies, promotions and opportunities will come around again. Thinking about whether that will align, you'll be able to sustain and make that decision will feel better for a future you rather than you now, if you're not in the right space to accommodate it now. Go on.
Well, and that's, there's a couple of things that come to mind. One of the things I always talk about is having really authentic goals.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons I wrote Maximum You was to give people questions to get to know themselves better, so they could then work out what they really wanted that had meaning for themselves. Because sometimes we're making decisions based on what we think someone else would do in that situation. Or you get offered the high paid, high profile job, and other people will tell you you're mad not to take it.
Yeah.
But actually, if you're very clear on what you want and your goals, and they're really authentic to you, you can use those to make decisions. And I find it so helpful. I do it all the time. I'll have a decision to make and I'll think, does that get me closer to my goal? Does that help me achieve my goal or not? And there might be several goals. There might be career goals, but there's also lifestyle goals.
Yes.
So for this client, there was a lifestyle goal around spending more time with her children. I have a lifestyle goal around freedom. And I have, sometimes my clients offer me jobs in-house where they are, which is really flattering. And I'm not going to say I'll never say yes to one of them. But I got offered one, it was really tempting. It was a very big senior role. And to our episode last week on resilience, the part of my brain that loves a challenge wanted to say yes to it, to see what it would be like to do that job. But actually, when I revisit my goals, not just my career goals, but my lifestyle goals, I realized that decision wouldn't help me achieve my goals. It would actually take me in the opposite direction. And that gave me real clarity. So I think one of the things is have really authentic goals, check in with them regularly, and then use them to make decisions. But the other thing is thinking forward. I love a decision tree, which is where you kind of think about the decision, you write out all the different things you could do, and then you start speculating what might happen. So I've got a new job to take. Okay, do I take it? Yes, no. If I take it, yes, what might happen? I might love it. It might be amazing. I might hate it. I might regret it. And the same is if I stay, there could be another job I get offered. There might be a different opportunity coming, or I might stay here longer. And getting clients to map out the decisions and go quite far down, go like 3 or 4 points down the decision tree, it helps you slow down and really think about what might be some of the longer term impact. But also it gets us out of this yes-no decision of it's either this job or I'm stuck in this other job forever. It's like when people are buying a house and they go, well, if I don't get this house, I'm never going to get a house I like, which we know isn't true, but they think it's just stay in this house forever or go into the new house. And weirdly, I was clearing through some papers and I found a decision tree I wrote 20 years ago when I was thinking about quitting the job that I was in. And it was really interesting because I had it written out. And then at the end of that decision tree, I didn't quit the job, even though my instinct at the beginning was I was really upset about something and I wanted to quit. And I ended up making a better decision that in the long run paid off. So there's something about writing it out and making yourself think through all the steps logically that can sometimes stop us making some of these reflexive decisions that might come from the primitive brain that are very emotionally driven. That might make us feel better in that moment, but don't serve us in the long run.
Exactly that. And I feel like when you come to do your decision tree, make sure that you, like you said, are in a good, calm, logical place. You have been for a walk. You've spent time with lovely friends. You need to be clear because you need to make sure your decision tree that you do is mapped out logically. It's not like we've gone, okay, if I don't get this job, I'm going to be homeless.
Yeah, the world ends.
Yeah, exactly. Death. Okay, either way, bad outcome. But also one of the things that I say to my clients as well is there are, apart from death and terminal illness, there are very few irreversible decisions in life, or at the very least, ones we can't pivot from. So it's taking that urgency that our primitive brain will convince us it likes to work in that black and white extremes of primitive brain. It's this house or we're never going to have a house. It's this person or we're never going to get married, or it's we got to take this opportunity now and we'll make it work even if we are feeling on edge and just overwhelmed. It's not always about that. similarly, if you do make those decisions, you can sell the house and you can move into a better house. You can get divorced, dare I say. There's always decisions. You can always pivot to bring you back on course. So taking away some of that extreme, it's now or never, do or die around decisions, and reminding, like we said, start by making small decisions in your everyday life that align with your goals to reassure you that you can make good decisions.
Well, and I believe a lot in reflective practice.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, looking back and recognizing where you have made good decisions, because the life you have now is the result of all the decisions you've made.
Yes.
Yes, external things will have happened, but it's how you responded to them. So recognizing that, and also reflecting on when you've not made as good decisions, because we can learn. One of the benefits of aging is we get to make mistakes and learn from them. And when I look back at key decisions I've made, I would say where it's gone right, I've taken time over it.
Yes.
And I've not let myself be rushed by a job or for a person or whatever it is. Taking time over that decision. And where they've not been as good decisions has been where I've made a decision quite reflexively, or I've let myself be rushed through it.
Yes.
And so, and it'll be different for everyone, but reflect and go, when were the decisions good ones? What helped me? Was it I got advice from professionals? Was it I took my time? Was it, for me, one of the ones was I waited until it felt like a hell yes.
Yes, I love that.
If I wasn't sure about something, I took that as my intuition saying it's a no. And I waited till it felt like a very firm yes before I moved forward. So, but reflect for yourself, what were the conditions under which you made really good decisions? And when you look back on some decisions and think, yeah, that didn't serve me, that wasn't so great, what were the factors behind that? Were you making decisions under stress? Were you literally making decisions when you were tired and hungry? Because our brain actually doesn't work that well when we're tired or we're dehydrated or we've not eaten.
Hungry.
Yeah, we don't actually make good decisions. So just delaying it and saying, right, I'm going to sleep on this, eat a good meal, talk to a friend, and then see how I feel.
Exactly.
And it's like that delayed decision making. But I do worry that in today's society, we use the excuse of going on instinct to actually just rush through life and not take our time on key decisions that we should do.
Sometimes things, if you're feeling disconnected from your intuition, something I like to do with clients is think about one of your favourite songs, whether it's a lovely song that makes you really happy or really calm. Think about the emotions that you feel when you listen to that song. And then think about a song that you really hate. What's your song that you hate?
Oh gosh, I don't know that I really hate it, but I'm not a fan of drum and bass.
Okay, fine.
So there'd be some drum and bass where I wouldn't want to keep listening to it.
Okay. Yes, so it's like thinking about a song that you really don't enjoy, which just feels so like nails on the chalkboard.
Well, what's yours?
Oh my gosh, I Take My Breath Away, in the Top Gun film.
That's really unusual.
Why
does it upset you?
I literally, this is the thing, because it's so funny. This is how amazing our brains are. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, I'm having a real actual physical reaction, because as far as my brain,
I want to start singing it to you.
Don't. It's just so slow and just so. Ugh.
Is it too cheesy? What is it?
It's just too slow and just like it's trying to overdo the theme,
right?
I think.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is the worst. The instruments.
Okay, so imagine how you
Her
feel
voice is great,
if you listen to that equivalent.
Yeah.
Right.
So yes, back on track. It's like, think about a song that you really love, makes you feel really good, or perhaps even really calm, and think about like the feelings that you experience and where you feel it when you listen to a song that you really don't like, and then think about like your decision. What kind of feelings are brought up when you think about your decision? Is it when more towards the favourite song end of the spectrum, or it feels a bit icky, it feels a bit sticky, it doesn't feel aligned? That's a nice way to just start tapping into your intuition of how you feel about things. So take something that you very easily know, like music you don't like, and think, how does this decision fit on this spectrum?
I love that, and I think that's a really good point about when we listen to how we feel. If it doesn't feel good, ask yourself what would feel good.
Yes.
So if this job offer doesn't feel good, give your brain something to compare, because the brain likes something to compare. Go, well, what job offer would feel good? I might not have it right now, but what would be the job that would feel good right now? Well, I'm looking at the house. Something feels a bit off with this house. What kind of house could I find that would feel good? Because even if you don't have that option right now, so your brain goes into the, well, it's this or nothing. With our imagination, we can offer another option that feels good, and that can help us make that decision.
Definitely. And then when it comes to like the bigger decisions as well, there is definitely this thing called decision fatigue, where we get worn down by the things that we have to decide on a daily basis. And so if we can like take as many decisions as we can out of our bucket, and I don't mean like the big decisions but having like your outfits for the week laid out on a Sunday. So when you wake up or even the night before, just so when you get up in the morning, it's one decision. You don't have to go to your wardrobe and go, oh, should I wear this? But I wore this yesterday. Oh, but this is dirty. So you don't have any of that dialogue. It just frees up your mental capacity. On the fashion icon, no, he's not an icon at all. The fashion front, Steve Jobs always wore a black turtleneck. Because he was so creatively involved in developing and running Apple. That was a decision that he didn't want to have to make. Tom Ford, a actual fashion icon, always in a black suit, white shirt, at the very jeans and a white shirt. He has a uniform, so it's decision. He can then use his creative energy into designing, to running the company, to making those key decisions without having to think about what he has to eat, what he has to wear. So if you can take and have, even if it was just one meal in the day, like having the same breakfast, having the same, a uniform almost, automating those decisions that aren't so key in your life frees up a lot of capacity for you to make the decisions about the things that do impact on the trajectory of where you're going.
Now, I love fashion and dressing up. So to me, the idea of wearing the same thing every day is death. But I think there's something about it at the beginning of the week, planning what you're going to wear so you're not stressing about it on the day. Again, with food, I like variety, but I do think planning at least your kind of weekday meals.
Yes.
Because when they're not planned, or your fridge isn't stocked with the healthy meals, or you don't know what you're having for dinner, then when you get to the end of the day, when you've already had to make a lot of decisions, so you have that decision fatigue, you're more likely to just go for something quick that might not be as healthy.
Yes.
So I do think if like me, or somebody prefers more variety, but still thinking about it ahead, then again, I think that's where the brain quite likes routine.
Definitely.
So sometimes having a routine about how you do your day, so certain things like exercise happen on autopilot. Your brain goes, oh, it's just this time of day when I stop and do some exercise. And then it doesn't have to have the weight or energy of a decision. You're just doing it automatically.
Exactly. And then that also has the benefit of keeping your primitive brain calm, so you are feeling more in access and able to access like your logical and intellectual brain, so you can make that decision of what you want to do moving forward from a more calm, centered, logical, less emotionally it's do or die, black or white place. So yeah, routine, leaning into your routine, doing those things. Also, you mentioned earlier about speaking to a close friend. Definitely with decisions, speak to people who are your close confidants, who have your best interests of heart, and be aware of starting to ask everyone for their opinion, because there is the situation where, yes, you can ask everyone, but everyone's going to have different answers, which ends up with more confusion. Plus, no one actually has to live with your decision other than you. You are the one that's going to, and yes, you can pivot, that acknowledged, but you are going to be the one that has to live with the decisions that you make. So only asking a few people rather than overwhelming and leaving yourself in an even bigger muddle by asking everyone is just not the way to go.
And I think it depends on the thing you're making a decision about.
Yeah.
So there might be some people in your life where you feel like they've handled their careers really well. So you might talk to them about their career, but you might look at their relationship and think, God, I wouldn't want a relationship like that. So you're not going to go to them for relationship advice. I do think sometimes there are decisions that that you kind of want to keep to yourself in a way. So a really big decision I made in my life was when I left my job in banking, and I had a senior job. I had a high profile, I was really well paid. And so a lot of people, I would say most people in my life, admired that and thought that was all a really good thing. And I decided I was going to leave banking and set up my own business, which to a lot of people seemed quite risky. By the time I made that decision, as I said, the best decisions, I'd really taken my time over it. I was really sure about what I was going to do. And so before I did it, I did not publicize it to many people. In fact, to hardly anybody, because I knew that that decision would trigger a lot of people. They would think, why on earth are you leaving this really kind of well-paid, high-profile job? And it would trigger their insecurities or how they would be afraid to leave and set up their own business. And a lot of people, by the way, after I'd made the decision and I told them, they actually told me how much they admired me. And a few people in banking who were quite senior came up to me and said, I wish I could do what you're doing.
Love that.
But I don't have the confidence to do it. So I kept that to myself. And then I actually surprised people with it. And I remember having to tell my mum, who is much more risk averse than I am. And I did it when my sister was there. And my poor sister, my mum was in the bathroom, and I told my sister, all right, I'm about to tell my mum that I'm leaving my job in banking.
Brilliant.
And my sister's like, don't do it while I'm here. Why are you doing this? I was like, no, I need your support.
Safety in numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And so I really had to manage the messaging with my mum because, you know, for my parents, they thought you only left a job when you got fired.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
The idea that you would voluntarily leave a well-paid job in an investment bank, it just seemed, I think even 10 years later, it still seems like complete madness to them. I still think they're waiting for the call where I say, yeah, I've gone to like work in a bank again, and they can celebrate and relax. So sometimes there are decisions that once you've made it or you're really sure about it, maybe don't talk to lots of people about it because they might get in your ear, they might make you doubt it, or you might just get tired of having to justify yourself. And it's actually sometimes there's a time once you've decided to just stay quiet and just execute it, and then tell people when you're on the other side of that. And that can even be things like difficult things like going through a divorce, where actually you don't want to keep talking to people about the fact it's happening.
Very true.
You want to get through it, get on the other side, and then talk about it when you're ready, if at all.
Yeah.
So being mindful of who you get advice from, but then also maybe having a bit of a moratorium where you're not talking about it.
And also when it comes, if you are asking people for their advice, what is it that you want them to say to you? Like, what is it, what is it that you're seeking? You're going to this person because you already have an inkling that they're going to tell you, do this, and they're going to support it, or they're going to give you their opinion, and you're going to them subconsciously or consciously because you know you're going to have some inkling of the answer they're going to give you. So what is it?
Oh, so why is it even that person?
Yes.
I'm going to spring an example on you. Apologies for this.
That's all right.
But you've more recently decided to go it alone and set up your own business.
Yes.
Obviously, I did it 10 years ago.
Yes.
What helped you make that decision?
It was you. You know.
Well, no, that's not why I'm asking.
Oh, I do feel like as well, especially if you are, it's something I've thought about for a long time, and like 10 years, a long time. And it's literally like you do get to that point, and I've had so many, like my other half is wonderful. I've got very close friends that are wonderful, and they've always been very supportive of my dipping the toe, to the point where I have handed in my notice before and retracted it. But it was literally like you said to me, and it hit it when your brain is ready, because you could say that I've obviously stayed in a career and I've been thinking about leaving for a long time to do other things, but at the same time, if I'd have pulled the trigger before and left, like I wasn't ready, and that my primitive brain would have been very upset, even more upset than it perhaps comes in waves at the moment anyway. But it's like your brain is ready when you're ready, and that is the best time, and you'll know when it's the right time just instinctively. But you said to me, you're like, Julia, because I'd had a bad time at work, and I was just like, it was a culmination of just feeling quite unhappy. And you said to me, Julia, you've either got, what did you say? It's time to shit or get off the pot.
Yes, I put it so elegantly.
You've either got, basically, it's time to either just do it or
Decide
just,
you're not doing it.
exactly. And then free yourself from that decision of like not doing it. So yes, it sometimes, yeah. And I probably did tell you because I knew you would tell me this. And so it was like,
you
like
wouldn't
the
have
green
brought it
lights.
up with me because you know me. You
Yes.
knew I would have pushed you on it.
Exactly.
And I do find that sometimes with my coaching clients where I've had a long-term relationship with them and I'm a bit more directive than purely coaching, that they will bring things up when they're ready for me to kind of push the button for them.
Exactly. And it's just been spending time with like my wonderful other half and my friends that have like supported me. It just has, and then obviously having that conversation with you has just led like me to the point where I'm like, I'm ready, I will make it work, and just having like that inner belief that I can do it.
But you waited, what was key there is you waited till it really felt right.
Exactly.
And when I left banking, I'd been thinking about it for a few years.
Yes.
And I waited till it felt right.
Yes.
And I think a good final point on that decision fatigue is sometimes we've got fatigue because there's just a decision that's going round and round in our head all the time. And I do have a lot of clients in the city where they will leave to set up their own thing at some point and they keep thinking about it. And one of the things I say is, let's make a decision now to not make a decision on that for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's just give yourself a break from the decision. It's like, okay, I think I want to leave and set up my own thing. But because I don't feel sure now, I'm just going to decide I definitely won't do it.
Exactly.
For 6 months.
Yes.
And that gives your brain some clarity.
The reprieve.
And that can be in any area of your life. You know, I've got friends who there's challenges with their children. Which schools do they go to? And either there's an obvious school to move their child to, or they just say, we think we're going to move the child, but we're going to wait till the end of this school year and then we'll make the decision. So sometimes you have to, if the decision's not clear, you have to give yourself a break from even thinking about it.
Exactly. And one final thing I just want to mention is that sometimes people will come to you with a decision you have to make, and there'll be an element of FOMO, so fear of missing out, connected to it. Do you want to come out with us? Do you want to come away on holiday with us? But again, it's where does that decision sit on being aligned with your goals? Where does it balance on the you now versus the future you scales? Are we heavily weighted now, but actually it's to the detriment of future you? And how does that decision feel like in your gut? Is it the lovely song, or is it take my breath away moments?
You've now ruined that song for people who actually like it.
I know, and I'm very sorry. And we're all different. And if you love that song, then I'm thrilled for you.
I feel like if this was a more highly produced podcast, I feel like we should go out on that with that playing at the end. We should do that.
We should. Just to make, but yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Bad Bee Podcast. We hope that's helped you think about your decisions in a more constructive and healthy way. And if you've got a big decision to make, obviously you can reach out to either of us as well. And we're happy to give you advice.
And always, if you can like, share, subscribe, anyone that's struggling to make a decision at the moment and you think this might help, just feel free to point them this way. And if you've got any topics you want us to look at in future, just let us know. We're here for you, babies.